after the silent auction. And hopefully going forward, we'll have some kind of an underwritten event in the years to come. But we're not going to give up. We're going to have it either way.
It's so wonderful. Now I want to back up. I know you started with the ASPCA. What did you do? Just knock on the door and say, hey, I want to raise money for you?
Yes.
That's what you did?
Yeah, and they were very grateful.
I bet they were. I bet they were.
They were. Ed Sayer, the president of the ASPCA, came every year. He gave a beautiful speech. He couldn't thank us enough, although I don't know that they needed us as Amaryllis did. Everyone needs as much as possible, but the ASPCA, you know, they have marketing, they have so many people contributing, and that's the only reason that we didn't continue to do it for them, because right in our own backyard are horses that I've seen at horse shows, you know, carting little kids around, and now they're in the backyard in Sagaponack needing things, needing shoes, needing vaccinations, that they no longer have owners to care for them. So that's why this is a little bit closer to home for me.
Well, you know, it's so meaningful, and it's like, it's kind of that way with everything, don't you think? Even with humans, a lot of times as we get older, people don't care as much. And horses, you know, you have this wonderful fantasy about, you always hear about horses going to pasture. And you have this dreamlike, idyllic feeling about they're out there in the pastures, all horses are growing old and having this wonderful life. But that's not the case,
No, it's not the case at all. You know, as a trainer, not even a rider, when you watch a 7-year-old little girl round on this 1,800-pound animal, you realize how incredibly sensitive these horses are, how safe they keep these children. And then you recognize that what happens to them once they can no longer do their job, they have aches and pains. They're old, just like an old dog or a cat. We don't let our dog just go out into the woods. And so that's where it comes very heartfelt for me, just to think that they're not just in the field. And if they are, they still need to be looked after.
And cared for.
Absolutely.
And have that interaction.
That's another thing. They get depressed. They go from having children groom them, pet them, ride them, visit them, give them treats, and now it's over. So what happens to them? They need that contact still. And I believe that that's what Amaryllis is very good for.
And she does a beautiful job. She really is a roll-up-your-sleeve type of person, and she really does a beautiful job. I mean, she has, like, the only problem is everybody brings everything to her now. You know, she's got a goat there, she's got chickens, she's got ducks, you know, Easter ducks, anything that anybody doesn't want anymore. And really, you know, she's strained. It's very expensive to maintain a horse. Like, I know when they're at your stage, it's one level, but even at her stage, because as you say, the upkeep stays the same. The vet bills are still there. The food is still there. The stables, the facilities, all of that, and month after month. How much do you think that, like, give us the comparison of what it takes to, say, take care of one of your horses versus what Christine would be having to maintain her horses?
Well, a basic show jumper, if you're going to compete in any form, on an average is $3,000 a month. Okay. So at best, Christine, it's $1,000 a month still per horse.
Right. And how many horses does she have there?
I believe she has 53.
53
that she's looking after.
That is some overhead. It's a major overhead.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to go back in just a second to the ASPCA, because you sent me an article that I didn't realize. But the ASPCA was actually started because of the founder was concerned about the horses in Manhattan, and that they were being so poorly taken care of and whatever, and he was just furious about this. And that inspired his passion to start ASPCA, and it was all about horses.
Yes, a carriage horse actually collapsed from dehydration in the streets of New York City.
Wow.
And there's a beautiful fountain now where the horses drink from in the park that has the actual date that it was erected. And
Have you seen some of those horses? Some of them, I think, should be going to pasture. They look so tired some days. I mean, you just feel so badly for them, you know. And I always try to go up and pet them and let them know that they're loved or whatever. And that love element it's important with every pet that we have. Yes. You know, not just to buy it. And I sometimes feel sorry for some of the big owners of horses that really never get to know their own horses. I know that racing horses are a totally different temperament from the riding horses that you do and jumping horses, and a lot of owners that I know have said that these are not really pets.
They're more of sport horses. Mm-hmm. I think they could be conformed to being pets. Yes. But mm-hmm. in their way of life, no, they're by no means are they pets. Right. They're athletes.
They're focused, and they are so focused mm-hmm. on that. Well, it was interesting because we were talking about pasture earlier on, and I think about this horse that my brother-in-law, my sister and brother-in-law he died recently, but anyway, they had this big, beautiful farm in Virginia, and they had this horse that was up on the hill, and I didn't know that much or whatever, and they kept talking about his great-great-grandparent was this really famous horse, and they kept talking about this really famous horse, and I got to ride, you know, the child of this really famous horse. And finally, when the movie came out, Seabiscuit, I realized, oh, wow, that was who that famous horse was. And until then, I never put it together. So it was really interesting. But that horse was unlike many of the ones that we have, and we haven't really talked about the bad S word yet, but we should. The horses that wind up going to slaughter, because they're no longer wanted, they're no longer loved. You know, after they've used their glamorous life of being jumpers and having this wonderful life, now suddenly nobody wants them. What happens to those horses?
On their way to slaughter?
They're either auctioned off, I think, or...
Yeah, it's a very corrupt circumstance. Some horses are bred specifically for slaughter. Ooh. And that's their fate. Yeah. And you know, it's a topic that I don't know the answer to it. Is it better that they suffer in a field? Is it better that they don't have proper foot trimming, which can be very, very uncomfortable for a horse? Mm-hmm. Or is it better that they're just put down? And mm-hmm. if the fate is the same, mm-hmm. then I don't have the answer for it. I don't agree with it by any means, but it's a circumstance that has to be addressed. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Well, I know that in the year 2007, thanks to legislation, mm-hmm. we stopped allowing horses to be slaughtered for food here, but now what is happening?
Doesn't mean it's not going to happen, though. Yeah. That's the problem. And mm-hmm. Shutting down the houses here is fantastic. It's wonderful, but they still get put now on a trailer mm-hmm. for 24 hours without water, overpacked, and they're driven across the border, and then they're still slaughtered. So now it's 24 hours of torture to then be slaughtered. So mm-hmm. I don't know that that's better.
Right, I know. I understand that. I don't know. You know, there are those serious questions that you have to ask and you have to know. But I do know that I think that we have to step up to the plate. I know that a lot of them, they were talking about how when they went across the border to Mexico, they're actually like stabbed. And I don't even want to talk about it. It's too terrifying. But anyway, we do have to do something about this. Now I know that Tim Bishop, one of our representatives, is leading the way. He's got a bill in Congress, and he is trying to get that taken care of so that they're not just sent across the borders, because where they're turned around and they're slaughtered anyway.
Absolutely. That's the disturbing part, is that we've band-aided our circumstances, but the issue's still there. Right. And it's a big job, and I'll support anyone and try to help in any way that I can. Mm-hmm. But my focus is what I'm actually capable of doing. Mm-hmm. You know, I know that I'm capable of helping directly here. Yes. Not that I'm not capable there, but... Mm-hmm.
Well, you've made a start, and these wonderful events that you are doing are helping out. They're really fantastic, and we so admire what you're doing. Keep it up. Anybody that did not go to the event this year that was raising for horse rescue and for Amaryllis, we hope that you will show up next year. It was a beautiful event. And certainly Kelly did a beautiful job. Everyone that was there was very glamorous and exciting, and we really did love it. So thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And we look forward to seeing you in the future.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks, Mary.